Okay, greetings everyone. I'm glad you're it's only me here live. So if you're seeing this, I'm glad you are watching the recording. We're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to, first of all, apologize for the short notice of this week's Zoom room. I only found out late last week that I would be teaching this course, and this is the time that I have available that I can go ahead, which actually works out fine. I want to give you a little bit of an overview of the course. I want to make some important announcements, and we will meet again very soon. For next week, just so you know, we are going to have our week 2 Zoom room actually on Sunday at the end of week 1. That will give us a chance to look forward to the week. That will give you a chance, hopefully, to tune in. But if you can't, I understand that. That's not a requirement. But if you're not able to tune in, then you have more time to review the recording and get your extra credit. The recording, the extra credit points are only available for 1 week. So that actually gives you a full week. So next Sunday. By the way, my name is Will Nicholas, Dr. Will Nicholas. I am your humble professor. You can read all about me in the Meet Your Professor tab in the course room. I think that's still up there, so not a problem. I will be working with you over the next 6 weeks. As I said, I only found out last week, and I was so blessed and so pleased to be offered this opportunity to serve and to work with students in a course that I am actually very passionate about. My terminal degree, my PhD, is in organizational psychology. Now, this is a course in industrial and organizational psychology, which is essentially the same thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is. There are a number of definitions for industrial and organizational psychology, or what I like to refer to sometimes as IO Psych or IO psychology, I industrial, O organizational psychology. So you'll see that in the recordings, and you'll certainly see it in my writing as I respond back to you. So that's what that actually is. All right, so happy to be on here. As I said, I'm so blessed that I have this opportunity to serve. I've been with Central Christian College almost 3 years. January will make 3 years that I have, and it seems like just yesterday, that I've been with Central Christian College of Kansas, and it's been an absolutely wonderful experience for me. I love the students, I love the college, I love the design. I have been in education for well over 2 decades, and I've seen education from the very young as 3, and even younger in some cases, up to, I think my oldest students I ever had was 76 at that time. Anyway, so rest assured you're in good hands with Central Christian College of Kansas, CCCK, because I've seen curriculum and I've seen lesson plans and things such as that. These were all designed not by me. I didn't design these lesson plans. I don't sort of post the lessons every week that comes automatically. Someone, or I'm quite sure a team of people, before I joined Central Christian College, got together and put together this really very good curriculum. I've taught probably half a dozen different courses for CCCK, and each one has really impressed me. So when you're talking to other friends or colleagues who are taking online courses, or maybe traditional courses, or maybe went to a traditional college, maybe one of the more well-known ones, if you will, wherever that may be, anywhere from Harvard or Yale down to USC or Texas A&M, whatever the case is, you need not feel like you're taking a back seat to any of them. If you apply yourself, your education is going to hold up to anything that you're going to come across. One of the things that I like about this format also, and the adult learning format, and not everyone in my courses or at CCCK is what we call the adult learner. Some of them are what we call traditional learners, young between 17 and 23, 24. who like sort of the model of learning all about the theory, explaining the theory as best they can. And there's nothing wrong with that. But adult learners do that. They learn about the theory, they write about the theory, but they've also got life experiences that they can now apply to the theory, which really makes the learning applicable and fun and enjoyable, and maybe most importantly, useful, because you're able to use it to apply to your current situation in your family, your church, your job, your community, whatever that might be. And such is the case with IO psychology. One of the questions that I have oftentimes, and you'll probably hear this again, is, in my experience, most underclassmen, people who are working on their bachelor's degree, many, if not most, really don't know what industrial and organizational psychology is. And that's fine. That's okay. I didn't know it, when I first started, but I'm passionate about it. I had an idea there might be something out there like this. Actually, I had no idea there was something like this, a field of study like this, but there is. So in just industrial and organizational psychology, let me back up for a second, please allow me. Psychology, this field of psychology, think of it like an umbrella. There are lots of things that come under the umbrella of psychology: counseling and testing and teaching and performance and motivation. If you were to go to the APA website, it's apa.org. I highly recommend that you go there. It's not part of our curriculum, but I highly recommend, especially if you enjoy psychology, you're going to be on there. Go to the APA website if you haven't already, and look at all the different divisions. I think there are 49 divisions of psychology. What I mean by divisions are sort of subgroups of psychology. There's consulting psychology, there's family psychology, there's sports psychology, there's the psychology of religion, there's educational psychology, school psychology, two different things. There is, oh my goodness gracious, clinical psychology, I mentioned school psychology, social psychology. It's actually social personality and social psychology. There are 49 of them. And one of them is industrial and organizational psychology. So there's that big umbrella. Under that is industrial and organizational psychology. And under industrial and organizational psychology, there is another myriad of things that we're going to talk about. Things such as job analysis, which you see on the screen. There's going to be ways, part of what IO psychology does is look at writing a job description, looking at job analysis, looking at the hiring process. How do you hire the best employees for an organization? That's key, and not something that the general population thinks about. Is it wise to test applicants through personality or intelligence tests? Is it legal? Is it fair? Those are some of the things that IO psychologists help organizations with. A lot of IO psychologists work as consultants or for hire. Companies will hire them and say, listen, we would like to, we're going to expand. We need to hire some people. Can you help us with that? Can you help us? IO psychologists should have a little bit of a knowledge. They're not attorneys, but IO psychologists should have a little bit of knowledge about employment law. At least as much to say to a big employer, you need to also hire an employment law attorney to help you out so that your hiring practices are legal, because you can get in trouble if your hiring practices are not legal. Simple little things like if you want to know think of a lower level starting out, if you will, employee. At lower level is not good vernacular. But say a kid out of high school or a high school kid who's going to go to work at a fast food restaurant. You really it's illegal, in fact. In most states at least, to ask the kid if he has a car. You can ask him if he has reliable transportation or a way to get to work on time every day, but you can't ask him if he has a car. And that's a small thing that's probably not going to get you sued or get you in a bunch of trouble, but it could. But it's important that HR managers, hiring managers know that, and that's why a good HR attorney is important, or HR attorney really be the thing. And an IO psychologist can help with some of those things as well. How to reframe those questions. What do you really find out? You want to find out if he's going to be able to make it on time? Okay, so let's ask it this way. An attorney typically will say, thou shalt not. They don't care many times to sort of help you solve the problem. They want to limit your what they call exposure. That's sort of a legal term, so that you're not, by limiting your exposure, that's narrowing the chance that you'll get sued. They can't eliminate the chance you'll get sued, but they want to narrow that, and they want to set it up such that if you do get sued, your, again, exposure will be minimal and you won't get sued for a lot of money. That's what attorneys do. That's their approach. IO psychologists help an organization solve problems. And you're going to see a couple of nice videos, if you haven't already. It's only Monday, but that talk about what IO psychology is. There are a few definitions. I like the one that I'm going to share with you just in a moment, and that is, and I think it's a good way for people who are starting out and who maybe don't have an understanding of IO psychology, or in many cases who don't even know what it is. And what happens a lot of times, you as students start taking this course. Some of you may know a lot about it. Some of you may not know as much. In the past, my experience has been that most students don't know a whole lot about it. And you're going to get questions like, hey, what class are you taking? Your wife or your husband or your kids or your mother or father are going to ask you, and you're going to say IO psychology or industrial and organizational psychology, and they're going to say, what is that? And it's nice to have a good answer for them, because if you kind of fumble around your words, they're going to say, I don't know about that. And that really is not nice for you. And I know some of you are probably, as adult students, have gone back, and probably some people are saying, you really shouldn't waste your time with that. You're too old. Your time has passed, and what are you learning anyway? All those things that some students hear. Hopefully not you, but in the past they have done that. So your answer to that question is, there are a lot of definitions. The best way to help someone who doesn't know anything about it at all is to say this. Industrial and organizational psychology looks at several things, including how their employees and associates' mental state and behaviors affect the organization, and how the organization's practices and purpose affect the emotional and mental state of the associates or employees, in addition to the stakeholders in the community at large. So, for example, think about, again, it's an applied psychology. It's not just a theory. So, if, for example, how IO psychologists looked a lot at how the terrorist attack of 9/11/2001, how that impacted the emotional state of employees who worked in airports and for airlines. In addition to which, they looked how the procedures of the airlines and airports affected the employees, and not only looked to how that worked out, but when they were able to recognize if there were any problems, what approach do we take to solve or at least minimize the problems that are created here? So that, there's that. And just even thinking about how a person that you're working with may be going through a hard time, or even in the hiring process, if you put them through a personality assessment, you say, oh, wow, this person is the kind of person that is an introvert or an extrovert, whatever that may be. That's very innocuous, if you will. But you may find in certain jobs, especially like government jobs, FBI, CIA, things like that, if people have a propensity for depression, even mild depression, that might not be a good fit. So you hopefully deal with that. after an employee is hired and you find that they're going through a hard time, that is going to impact them. If they have developed a depression after working at a place for some time, for any reason, it could be a home situation, that's not something you can turn off at the door. You can't be struggling with clinical depression. Now, in clinical depression, and again, so I know psychologists are not clinical psychologists, but they have to have some kind of a understanding of mental states and mental illness and things such as that. So depression, and again, I'm going to take off one hat from another for you just for a second. Depression is oftentimes called the common cold of mental illness. There's a lot of reasons for that. One is a cold doesn't make you go to the hospital. A cold doesn't make you necessarily stay home. You typically go to work with a cold. Flu, maybe not. Some severe colds, maybe not. But typically, you can go on and work with a cold. You probably aren't as efficient and as effective as you are when you're completely healthy. But anyway, so depression is much like that. And there are a lot of different kinds of colds, and there are a lot of different kinds of depressions as well. So some depressions just kind of you can go on and live your life, not being really happy, struggling a little bit to get out of bed, not having a fullness and a vivaciousness, if you will, a vibrancy about you, and live. But that emotional state, you can't turn it off when you walk into your office or into your factory or whatever the case may be, into your store, and that is going to impact. You can make yourself go for a little bit, but that's going to impact the organization. So that's part of what IO psychologists look at and try and help. IO psychologists were instrumental in starting the EAP programs around the country, which stands for Employee Assistance Programs. I guess the EAPs would be EAP program. To help people with substance abuse and things such as that. So there's a wide variety of things that IO psychology covers, but essentially, we look at how a person's emotional state and behaviors affect the organization they work for, as well as how the organization itself and their practices and expectations affect their employees. And again, that's probably the best, most concise definition you can give someone who's scratching their head saying, "What are you doing?" That'll make sense to them. I'll say this to you also. It's not just the employees or associates, it's the other stakeholders. It's the customers, the community at large, that IO psychologists look at. They sometimes delve a little bit into marketing and things such as that, but that's a little bit deeper than we're going to go to today. So that's IO psychology, and that's what you're going to get into. Please watch the videos. It gives probably even a better explanation than I just rambled through right there, if you will. So I have, as I mentioned, I've been with CCCK, Central Christian College of Kansas, for almost 3 years. I do some other adjunct work at another college as well, and I do some counseling and life coaching. My counseling is more life coaching. I'm a counselor. My PhD is in organizational psychology. I have a master's in counseling psychology. This is all my professor thing, whatever. And I say that because my full-time job, if you will, is with Broward County Schools. And Broward County Schools is where last February 14th we had the worst high school shooting in the history of the country. The suspect's name is all over the news, Nicholas Cruz. And I have somewhat of a strong connection. I've never met him personally, but the school is not too far from my own school. Many people, there's a lot of connections there, and I won't go into everything there. But I will say this about IO psychology. We've had to change a lot of things that we do. And we're in the middle right now. We're just in the beginning stages, actually. In the middle, we're in the beginning stages of making the changes we need to make. And we need to make sure that the employees' mental state and sense of safeness and security is addressed, because it definitely impacted all the tragedies, terrorist attacks, school shootings around the country impact probably every person in education. But when it happens, next year, it's a new level. I can tell you my personal experience from what I've experienced, as well as my colleagues will say the same thing. We thought it was bad when it happened in Columbine, Colorado, the Columbine High School in Colorado, but this hits us at a very personal, deep level. So IO psychologists are instrumental and very needed for situations such as this and others as well, not necessarily just trauma and tragedy. So if you, maybe a little bit like me, maybe you didn't realize this kind of field even existed, you might find this to be very interesting as we go forward. I certainly hope so. So I use that not to point out tragedy or bring drama to the class, but to point out that these kinds of things are what IO psychologists get involved in, and that I have some sort of personal statements as well. So having said that, let me go over a couple of things. And we'll go through a little bit of the PowerPoint maybe, but I want to really encourage you to take advantage of tutor.com. It's part of the service that you pay for as a student at CCCK. They are fantastic. My experience with them is from this end where I'm at as a professor, the students who take advantage of what they're entitled to through tutor.com have a much easier time in the course. And they actually learn more, to be honest with you. Tutor.com, if you are not familiar, I'll tell you. If you are familiar, you can share with your fellow learners. You can pose questions to them. Like you might pose a math question to them. You might pose whatever course you're taking. I think they ask you what course you're in. And they will help you solve that math problem. They will help you solve, a science problem, if you will. In a course such as this, you're going to write papers. You can actually get busy early in the week and write your paper and even look at it and say, gosh, this isn't quite right. I'm not sure what to fix. Let me send this to tutor.com. And there's a link in your course room that shows you how to do it and everything like that. I'll show you. They will go through and they will make the corrections and send it back to you they'll point out the things that need to be corrected, I should say. Send it back to you so that you can make those corrections. They don't grade it. They're not going to give you a grade. They don't know who you are, I don't think. I'm not sure how that works, but nonetheless, they don't really care anything about that. They're going to go through your paper. If you give them enough time, at least I think it's 48 hours before the paper's due, which is pretty good. But you also want to get it back in time that you can make the corrections, okay? But if you can send that early in the week, get their feedback, and then and you don't have to take their advice, but you can, and then you submit that paper to me, and it's very easy for me to grade. It's fast, of course. I'm not trying to be selfish, but that way I make a couple little marks or whatever, give you some feedback, and you get a very good grade. In my experience in the past, students who have done that get a very good grade. I've had students starting out, struggling with the writing, and they ask for some help, and I don't. When I give you feedback, it's for a grade, right? And I don't go through it nearly as with a fine-tooth comb as they do, because they're going to give you those specific feedback, okay? You're going to get away with a little bit from me, but they're not going to let you get away with very much. But the good news is, again, they don't grade you. So anyway, students start out maybe the first week or 2 weeks, not so well, and they're getting their grades and they're happy. So I say, remember I talked about use tutor.com. They start employing that, taking advantage of it, and changes. I can definitely see the change in the quality of the writing, and it's they end up very, very happy with it. So anyway, I highly recommend that you take advantage of tutor.com for anything that you need help with. Right? So do that. The other thing is, especially as this is a psychology course, the college, CCCK, Central Christian College of Kansas, insists on and expects you to write with APA format, APA specifications, and APA styling and format. So the good news is, I'm going to back up here for 1 second. Let me see. So watch the screen. Let me go back here. And all right, here's our course outline. Here's where the Meet Your Professor is, right here. So that tells all about me. That's your syllabus that tells what we're going to be learning about. The policies, of course, you get all the time. Coffee shop, community news, ask questions, plagiarism policy, student success. I'm going to click on this. This is another place you can go if you need help. Yeah, it talks about it all here. So call them up. They will be happy to help you. The student success team, if you're having any kind of concerns about, here's the email address and then here's the phone number. So let's go back from here. So before you go, they want to go right over to resources. What a great thing. This has links to how to use APA, how to write an APA, gives you a sample of an APA paper, a cover letter and a cover page, I should say, and things such as that. So I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. Now, I promise not to keep you on here too much longer. The other thing is this. I'm here to help you and support you. That's my role here. I do grade your papers. I have to grade them, give you the feedback and things like that. No question about it. But I'm not here to knock anybody down or beat anybody up or embarrass anybody. My role is to help you learn, to move you along. I really want you to come out of this course knowing a lot more than you did when you went in, which is, of course, not earth-shattering news. So if you need to reach, this is important, if you need to reach out to me, you see from the syllabus there are several ways. You have my contact information there. You have my email address, and you have my phone number. That, of course, is my cell phone. So you could call me or you could text message me. However, the best way, the most efficient and most effective way to get in touch with me is right here in the course room in the message tab. So you log into the course room, you go to messages, you click on messages, you post your question, and then I will get it. The reason I say that is this. Email, oftentimes, too often I should say, gets lost. Simply because I get a lot of emails. I'm sure you do too. And if it is from a client that I'm working with, okay, I'm going to open it. I recognize that address. If it is from someone I work with, then I'm looking for that email and I get it. A lot of the other stuff I get is not important, so it kind of gets put to the bottom. Your email address is probably not something I'm going to recognize. Many times students have either their spouse email address or their work email address or some kind of, it's not their name or whatever have you. So if that is the case, I will open it first. And sometimes it gets kind of pushed to the bottom and I have a chance of missing it. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. So please, if you need to get in touch with me, use the message tab. Texting and phone calls, if I get a phone call right now, obviously I can't take it because I'm on this Zoom room. So calling me, and I'm oftentimes with clients, I'm oftentimes in front of a class a lot, and in person live, or I'm doing something such as this, and I can't answer the phone. Text messages also are not necessarily the best because, in my experience, the questions and things such as that don't lend themselves to a text message. A text message is something like, I'm running late. Are you on your way? Pick up coffee. That's something kind of quick for a text message. Most of the communication I get with students, you're going to go back and forth maybe 2 or 3 times. That's not uncommon. Not always, but a lot of times. And it's nice to have that thread in the message tab. Additionally, I gotta believe the college prefers that. I don't know that they've ever actually said that, but I think they prefer that way. They actually have a running record, a record of what was said and what wasn't said in case somebody was ever accused of doing something wrong, which I don't think that would ever happen. But I appreciate it that way, so that I'm sure none of you would ever do it, but I'm not sure who I'll get in the future. Additionally, I can't say something about you, so it's a more professional way to approach this. The other thing is this: I don't actually check my email that often. I check it quickly. Like if I'm looking for an email from someone, if I want to send an email to someone, So again, a lot of the things, if I might not check it for like a day and a half, and people sometimes will send me, hey, I sent you an email. I wanted you to give me a call. Well, I'm like, why didn't you just call me? Because I got lost, because after a day and a half, it kind of gets buried and I can't find it necessarily. Email is great, but it's a little overwhelming. So if I have something I'm working on, I'll go back in there. Otherwise, I don't do it. So having said that, the good news for you is I check the message tab several times every day. Every day. Typically, I'll go in early in the morning before I kind of start my day, just to see if anyone has anything that, burning in there, a burning question, if you will. If I don't get to it in the morning, I get to it by mid-morning. I kind of check it a couple of times. I check it around lunchtime, and then I check it mid-afternoon, and then late afternoon, and then typically once, as I just shut everything out as I go through my day, the courses that I'm teaching, different courses, and my clients, and my full-time job. Yeah, I'm quite busy. Yes, I am, but I love it. It's so that I can sort of rest easy, if you will, know that you're okay. So the good news is I check it a lot more often. So that's why it's important to use the message tab, and that's going to be what our code is in order to get credit for watching this Zoom, the recording of this Zoom, to use the message tab to communicate with the professor. Use the message tab to communicate with the professor. If you watch this recording and you send me a message in the message tab saying that, you will get your extra credit points for watching the Zoom room. I think that these are, I'm going to go through these, and I want you to watch your PowerPoints every week. You guys go through these, but it talks about the importance of job analysis, job description. But you can see there are 86 slides here. So when we meet next Sunday, I'm going to, just like I did this week, I'm going to touch on the important things that really apply to you, and maybe we'll get some folks on there. We can have some back and forth. But the other PowerPoints and things like that, they're there for you to go through. If you have a question about them, certainly I'm here for that. But it is not a good use of our time for me to sit and sort of lecture on 84 slides. I'll pick out what's pertinent, what I can add, to that, and maybe add some of the experiences, which again, integrating that theory and application that I've had, or personally, or work with a client or a colleague who's gone through something, or perhaps something that was brought up in the discussions that you present. So with that, I'm going to let you go so that you can get back to work. And I will, one last thing. Along with, speaking of the course room, it's actually very important that you check the announcements tab. Whenever you log into the course, always check the announcements tab first, because that's where I put important announcements. Now, I know some folks don't go into the course room every single day, and that's fine. You don't have to. I think you're obligated to go 4 or 5 times a week. I'm not exactly sure, but you know what the expectation is for you. But so when you go in there, definitely check the announcements tab before you finish going into the course. Check the announcements tab first. Additionally, I highly recommend that even the days that you plan not to go into the course room, that you just check in, click in for, it'll take you 2 or 3 minutes, and just look at the announcements tab then to see if there's an important announcement coming up for you. Because that will be, that's where I put important things. For example, that's where I will put all of the links for the Zoom rooms, and the times, and schedule for things like that. But again, the next one that we have will be next Sunday, not quite a week from today. I realize that Sunday's still part of week 1, but that'll be our week 2 Zoom room, so that we can sort of look forward and give an overview of what's coming at you, and I can give you a heads up on what to look out for. It also gives you more time, if you're not able to log in with us live, gives you more time to review the recording and get the information, as well as get the points. If we did it later in the week, like Thursday or Friday, it only gives you like 3 days, because then we're going on to the next week, and it doesn't make sense. If you can possibly avoid it, to watch the week 2 Zoom room during week 3. We're moving on. We got it's not an abbreviated class. It's an accelerated class. So I think that best serves everyone, in my experience anyway. And you'll get a chance maybe to Zoom it, to be on the Zoom room. Maybe with that on that Sunday. It's hard. It's hard to say what's the best day. There's family on Sunday. I know there's a lot of students that like to finish up their work on Sunday. That's their day off work, and they can do that. But Tuesday nights there's something else, whatever happens. So we're gonna try for Sunday. Hopefully that will be the best for the most people. So I'm gonna get out of here. Say a quick prayer. Father in heaven, once again, I just come to you and thank you for the blessings and the opportunities that you have given me. I pray that it is your desires that will come through me, not mine. I pray that you will guide my steps in the path that you want to lead me, and keep me from going off track, as I am prone to do, because I'm a sinner, and I'm certainly by no means perfect. But so I pray that you will guide me along that way and keep me close to you, the most important thing. I also pray for each student, Father, that you will also bless them likewise, that you will guide their steps and bring them closer and closer to fulfilling the purpose you have set for them in their lives, that they can fulfill your purpose in their lives. I pray also for their families. I pray that you will bless them and their families, that their families may be able to support them and take up the slack where it's necessary, if that's the case, and be happy and fruitful and be productive and feel good and be healthy. We pray for this for their children, their spouses, siblings, and parents, their family overall. I pray for my family as well, Father. You have blessed us in a mighty, mighty way. It's only through you, Father. So I pray that as you have now, you will continue to bless us according to your will. Not my will, but your will, Father. You will bless us and keep us, above all, close to you and focused on you. So all these things I pray in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. All right, folks, that's going to do it. I will see you in the course room very, very soon.